Back in 2003, pizza delivery man Brian Wells walked into the PNC Bank in Erie, Pennsylvania, with a bomb collar attached to his neck demanding $250,000 in cash. Not long afterwards he left with a mere $8,000, then cameras broadcast his chest exploding in the middle of the street. The pizza delivery man sat in the middle of the street, surrounded by police cars, being broadcast on national television begging for help as the device ticked down. Wells described how he had been forced to rob the bank by 3 other people. He'd gone to deliver them pizza, but they'd strapped the device onto him. As he begged, the device's beeping got louder and louder. The news cameras kept rolling. Then, live on air, the bomb went off, ripping open his chest as the cops and cameras watched. But that wasn't even the most crazy thing about it, or even the end of it. Police found handwritten, detailed notes in his car sending him on a strange scavenger hunt, which was meant to start after the robbery. The papers were meant for the bomb hostage, and gave instructions on robbing the bank, as well as codes and keys. The idea was if he followed it he'd be able to unlock the bomb around his neck. There was one big problem though, he'd never be able to carry out all the instructions in time. The device had 4 locks and a combination dial. Brian Wells died after bomb exploded. Image, Netflix. Add to that another body, another pizza delivery man, Wells' coworker, and you have an intriguing mystery. After an investigation, Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong and her friend Kenneth Barnes were jailed. The police had decided they were co-conspirators. The theory was Barnes, Wells and Diehl-Armstrong plus her ex-boyfriend Bill Rothstein and his roommate Floyd Stockton had come up with the plan for financial gain. Basically, they needed the cash. Diehl-Armstrong was something of an infamous figure already. She'd been acquitted of killing a former boyfriend, and her husband died after a fall at her home under strange circumstances. Her and Rothstein had dated. The sparring between them led to more confusion in the case as they threw accusations back and forth. Something like this had never happened before in the history of the FBI, where a potential hostage is sent into the bank with a device, or to rob the bank, and the device detonates, resulting in their death, said lead agent Jerry Clark in the film. This had just never happened. Somebody murdered Brian Wells that day. Whether he was involved or not, it's still a murder. Netflix's Evil Genius looks back at the story of the pizza bomber, the tale of bomb in a bank, a scavenger hunt, and a maniacal woman, and tries to work out who knew what, and whether Wells was ever in on it, though it may leave you with more questions than answers. Image, Netflix. Here's a look at the top questions, and some of the answers. Was Brian Wells really in on the heist? How much pizza delivery man Wells knew about the heist is one of the enduring mysteries of the case. When he initially robbed the bank, Wells appeared calm. He was carrying a loaded gun cane which would have fired if he pulled the trigger, and he nonchalantly sucked on a lollipop as he stood in line. Investigators say this shows he was in on the plot, and didn't think he was in any danger. It was only when he was sat on the ground, surrounded by cops, and the device around his neck started to beep that he became suddenly agitated and concerned about his safety. Remains of the bomb which was attached to Wells' neck. Image, Netflix. Wells' family insist he was innocent and had no role in planning the crime which led to his death. But prosecutors concluded that he had been involved in the planning of the heist, and had been prepared to wear the bomb collar thinking it was a fake. They said he tried to back out when he found it was real, but was forced to wear it after being threatened with a gun. In a new interview for the Netflix show, prostitute Jessica Hoopstick insisted Wells had not been involved, and had been seeing her when the planning meeting took place. She gave evidence at Diehl-Armstrong's trial saying she had overheard plans at Barnes' house to rob a bank and a woman had been there. She didn't confirm it was Diehl-Armstrong. She insisted Wells was innocent though, and added that she had special feelings for him. "I'm not going to say it was love," she said, "but there was definite special feelings." Wells is cornered by cops after the robbery, moments before collar exploded. Image, Netflix. However, FBI agent Jerry Clark, who appeared in the series, told TMZ, "There is nothing in Jessica's statement that appears to be accurate." He insisted that the evidence in the case indicated that Wells did have knowledge of the case, and had attended a planning meeting. What Netflix series should I watch next? Find out with this quiz. What did the scavenger hunt notes actually say? Key locations from the heist. Image, Netflix. One of the most perplexing parts of the heist plot was the series of notes given to Wells when the bomb was clamped around his neck. He was supposed to follow a scavenger hunt for clues that would eventually give him the combination to remove the bomb. Cops who drove the route later discovered that there would have been no way for him to complete the tasks before the bomb detonated. The notes, viewable on people.com, include strict instructions, diagrams and maps for Wells to follow. The notes warn him not to contact the police, and say, "A sentry will be watching to ensure you are not being followed." In large letters at the end of the note was the statement, "Act now, think later or you will die." There were also long rambling messages to the police, warning them, "You can only protect the bomb hostage and everyone else by staying clear." The fact that Wells would not have had time to complete the tasks have led cops to believe it was always intended that he would be killed during the heist, and that the notes were a way to divert the attention of officers. Who really planned the heist, Bill Rothstein or Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong? Rothstein and Diehl-Armstrong when they were younger. Image, Netflix. This is one of the other huge unsolved mysteries, and one which may never be solved. The Netflix show certainly portrays Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong as the mastermind behind the plot. She is shown as a terrifyingly manipulative and intelligent person, who planned the heist to pay for the murder of her father. But Jim Fisher, an FBI agent at the time, believes the man at the center of this is Bill Rothstein. Matters were complicated by their previous dating history as well. He had a thing for her that went beyond just boyfriend-girlfriend kind of thing, Ray Berkowski, Rothstein's longtime friend, says in the documentary. It was like somehow she got into his psyche and just lived there. I mean, look what happened. No normal human being does that for somebody. You don't go to somebody's house and go and wrap up a dead body in a sheet and go and throw it in your freezer. Diehl-Armstrong was convinced he had it in for her anyway. While she was struggling with mental health issues, she said, "He couldn't have me, so he wants to destroy me, he wants to put me away for life." Rothstein hid body in his freezer. Image, Netflix. Despite this, she did brag in prison, saying she was involved in the plot. While she bragged, the police zeroed in on Barnes, her old fishing friend. Barnes eventually confessed to his part in the plot, though Barnes complicated things further, saying while Diehl-Armstrong and Rothstein had put the bomb on Wells, they thought it was fake. The story didn't exactly hold up when it came to Wells' involvement. "I think the whole plan initially started as a way for them all to make some money, but it developed into more than just making money," Agent Clark says in the documentary. "It became almost a game to them, a diabolical, maniacal game, but a game where, let's see how we can get away with this crime, we're really smarter than everybody else, and we are certainly smarter than law enforcement. With both conspirators now dead, it is unlikely we will ever learn the truth." Did Bill Rothstein know he had cancer before the heist? Bill Rothstein died of lymphoma 11 months after the heist, and before he could be brought to justice. What is not known is whether he was aware that he had terminal cancer before planning the heist. The Netflix show portrays Rothstein as something of a sociopath, who told cops in his interview that he was the smartest man in the room. Bill Rothstein is interviewed by cops. Image. Netflix. It is possible that the convoluted nature of the plot, the scavenger hunt, the red herrings, the unsolved death of Panetti, was a sick game for Rothstein. A last chance to show he was the smarter than the police with a crime that his diagnosis would mean he could never be held accountable for. Then FBI agent Jim Fisher, who insists the handyman was behind the heist, said, Rothstein had the last laugh. What happened to the conspirators? As mentioned in the series, Bill Rothstein died of cancer in 2004, having never been brought to justice for his role in the heist. He was indicted as a conspirator to the robbery by prosecutors in 2007. Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong was sentenced to life in prison, plus 30 years for the crimes of armed bank robbery, conspiracy to commit armed bank robbery and using a destructive device in a crime of violence. She appealed against her conviction. The Court of Appeal for the Third Circuit upheld her conviction in 2012, and the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear her case in 2013. She lost a second appeal in 2015. Image. Netflix. She died of breast cancer while being held at Federal Medical Center Carswell in Fort Worth, Texas, on the 4th of April 2017. According to prison medical records, she had refused chemotherapy and treatment for the disease. Barnes was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison in 2008, after pleading guilty to using a destructive device during a crime of violence and conspiracy to commit bank robbery. His sentence was reduced to 20 years because he cooperated with cops. Ken Barnes. After his arrest. Image. Netflix. Floyd Stockton was a convicted rapist who lived with Rothstein. He was given immunity from prosecution over the heist in exchange for testimony, but was never called as a witness at the trial after reportedly falling ill. CNN reported in 2011 that he lived in Washington state, north of Seattle. Wells' sister said, "He didn't deserve immunity. He's the guilty one that killed my brother. He deserved to be brought to justice." How was Robert Panetti, the second pizza shop employee, involved? Robert Panetti worked with Wells at the same pizza shop, and was found dead 4 days after the heist. It was reported that he had become agitated and nervous after Wells died. He was due to speak to cops about the crime on the Monday after the incident, but died on the Sunday night. The death was ruled as an accidental overdose. But Floyd Stockton allegedly told FBI investigators that Panetti had been given a high dose of drugs to kill him. Brian Wells' family have reportedly suggested that it was supposed to be Panetti that wore the bomb collar on the day of the heist, but he sent Wells in his place. Diehl-Armstrong's father cut her out of his will. Image. Netflix. What happened to Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong's father, Harold Diehl? It was claimed in the Netflix show that Diehl-Armstrong planned the $250,000 heist to pay Ken Barnes to kill her father, Harold Diehl. He had once been worth almost $2 million, but he gave much of his fortune away to friends and neighbors after becoming estranged from his daughter. Harold appeared in an interview in the show, saying that he had heard that his daughter was trying to have him killed, but that he had cut her out of his will. Harold died in January 2014 at the age of 95. In 2015, Diehl-Armstrong lost an appeal with the state superior court to challenge his legally recognized will. What happened to Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong's previous partners? Diehl-Armstrong had previously killed one of her partners. Image. Netflix. Diehl-Armstrong's killing of her ex-boyfriend James Roden became a key part of the pizza bomber case. She admitted to shooting Roden dead at her home days before the heist, with Rothstein later taking the body and storing it in his garage freezer. She would later admit to police that Roden was killed after threatening to go to the police about the pizza bomb plot. But Roden was not the first partner of Diehl-Armstrong to reach an unfortunate end. Diehl-Armstrong rants during interview on Netflix show Image, Netflix. In 1984 she was tried over the killing of boyfriend Robert Thomas. She shot him 6 times, but was acquitted on the grounds of self-defense after claiming she was abused. And in 1992 her husband Richard Armstrong died in suspicious circumstances after hitting his head on a coffee table, but the matter was not investigated further by police. She won a malpractice settlement from a hospital over his care. Was Diehl-Armstrong mentally ill? The documentary explains her struggle with mental illness. While manipulative, she also suffered from clear mental health problems. She could be talking about one thing and then start talking about birds or God knows what are horoscopes, they say in the film. She had to brush her teeth 32 times a day. Not 31, not 33. It's just amazing to me. 4 times I had her committed, 4 times the mental health system found her to be competent. He added, we shouldn't be talking about a collar bomb. She was sick, she was disturbed, and anybody that was around her knew that. You have to deal with the disease, and if you have a disease it's never going to get better and your thinking is way off. Why jeopardize society by putting the person on trial and run the risk they'll be acquitted? She died behind bars, and was buried in an unmarked grave, but right up to her death she maintained she was not to blame. What do you think? Do you have your own theory? Let us know in the comments below.